I'm truly honored to be here today as the presenter in Watch Canada. So I would like to just share my screen. And with that, I'll start with a short introduction of mine. So, hello everyone, I'm Sabrina. So, by profession, I'm a water resources engineer. So, talking about a little bit of my background, I did my undergrad in water resources engineering from Bangladesh and did my master's from University of Alberta in Canada. And as a passionate wash professional, I was always motivated to do some positive work in this field from very early age of my career. And I am basically from such a place where water is a very big issue. So I established my first water company to solve some of my water crisis that the people of my country faces very frequently. So I'll probably talk a little bit on that today. So when Wash Canada asked me to choose a topic for my presentation, I was thinking like, what should be the topic? And I chose wash challenges of coastal Bangladesh under climate change scenario because that is not only very close to my heart, but also it reflects the story of the people for whom I work. So today's presentation will be more of a story than a presentation. So I'll probably start with the story of a mom. Her name is Saleha. So she is 24 years old and she's living in Khulna. So she is a mom of one. So talking about her story, her motherhood is such that when we talked with her, she told us during her pregnancy, she had to suffer a lot of problems. And when she met with her doctor, they said like it was mostly because of her habit of drinking saline water. And she had no other choices because she lives in such an area where the safe drinking water access was very limited. So she ended up drinking that water for a long time. That actually increased her blood pressure and created eclampsia during her pregnancy that suffered her very serious health hazards during her pregnancy period and her time of motherhood. The second story is of a 65 years old elderly people living in Shatkhira. His name is Abdul Mutin. So throughout all his life, he has been drinking the water that was available in his area. That was mostly saline, and he was fit to his young age, but when he started getting aged, he found out there are a lot of health problems in his body, like kidney problems, high blood pressure, and all. And that all happened just for one reason: for drinking saline water. And the third girl that I'm going to talk about, and I feel very connected with her, she's a 13-year-old child. Her name is Joanna. So what happens nowadays, it's her time to go to school and enjoy her time for childhood, playing with her friends. But unfortunately, what happens that her family has unburdened her with a responsibility. And the responsibility is to collect water from 2 kilometers away from her home. And for that one, she has to spend at least 1 hour plus 1 hour, 2 hours to collect water, drinking water for her family. And that's why mostly she uh, skips her school and has to face a lot of social problems. So her childhood has been compromised. And that also happens just because of one reason: not having the access of safe drinking water. So the story that I have been telling to you, it's not just the story of these three people. It's the story of 43 million people living in the coastal belt of Bangladesh who are suffering due to one single cause, that is not having the access of safe drinking water. Why it happens, and why specifically I'm talking about this specific zone. So let me give you a little bit of background about the geographical area where I'm talking about. I'm talking about a small developing country called Bangladesh. It's kind of one of the prominent delta of the whole world. And Bangladesh is surrounded by some big countries like India, and in the upstream, it has Nepal, China. and also Myanmar's. So what happened? We call it Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Meghna Basin. People who have a strong hydrological background mostly know about this specific geographical area. So all the upstream water that comes from India, China, Nepal, Myanmar, that flushes through Bangladesh and goes to the Bay of Bengal. So this Bay of Bengal basically is nearly to the southern coastal belt of Bangladesh. And because of that near proximity to the coast, most of the water that is in this coastal area of Bangladesh is saline. So this salinity of water is a high and serious problem. And mostly the surface waters, the rivers that you can see here, and also the groundwater is contaminated by this sea water. So it's very sensitive because when there is like a serious, natural disaster or any rise of that sea level, this water aquifers and surface water sources gets contaminated very easily. And people in this area don't have other sources of water, and they end up drinking this water that creates serious health hazards and also societal problem in this area. And the talking about what is the amount of salinity concentration in groundwater, you'll be shocked to know that it is around, like on an average, 9,000 to 10,000 micron per centimeter, which is quite high. That is beyond the standard of the drinking water that is created by WHO. So I want to show you some, snapshots that we actually collected from the field, where people had to, stay in line for hours and hours just to collect water when the other sources are very contaminated and highly saline. So these snapshots were collected by my team during last summer, 2024, when there was high scarcity of safe drinking water, and people who there are some NGOs or some developing firms who like provide some drinking water, safe drinking water, from transporting the water from like safe regions to these regions. And people are like waiting day after day just to collect one bucket of water. So these pictures made me realize that how privileged we are to have the safe drinking water access, where these 43 million people are constantly suffering day after day to, have like one small bucket of drinking water for them and their family. And this condition is not going to improve because climate change is a reality right now. And the data that we have got is very seriously indicated like this situation is going to be decreased in the near future. So according to the German Watch Climate Risk Index, Bangladesh has been ranked 7th out of all the countries in the whole world. And this specific coastal belt and near the mangrove forest has been indicated one of the most climate vulnerable zones in the whole world. And we have got data like in near 2050, the sea level rise is going to be around like 0.3 meter in this region, which is going to be, increase the salinity problem even more for this region, because the sea level rise will always interfere in the aquifer zones, and the saline aquifer zones are going to be increased by 2.27%, where the fresh water sources will be decreased by 3.44%. And in some of those areas, which are like very saline, those severe salinity zone is going to be increased by 14% by 2050. So in near future, we are going to see the scarcity and the sufferings of the people is going to be much if we don't take actions right at that moment. And from that perspective, our teams tried to collect some of those data from different users living in this zone, like how this water is impacting their life. We have taken some of those, methods like key informant interviews, focus group discussions, resource mapping, and etc. to get the exact field insights. And we have done this specific research and surveys specifically on rural women, because according to our data sets, these are the most vulnerable people who are most susceptible, for the impacts of climate change. because women have to face like the societal problem. They are mostly in the, getting the responsibility of collecting the drinking water. So when there is like problem and scarcity of drinking water, they're the most impacted. And also the health and the other aspect of women, because of their health conditions, they're mostly susceptible for the health hazards in comparison to men, because they're in charge of the pregnancy and nurturing their child. So from the data sets that we have found from our primary data, for like different age group of people, like for the teenage girls, we have found like just because of using the saline water, and also there is some hygiene issues because they have to use this saline water in order to clean themselves during their periods and all the after times. So 62% of those teenage girls are having irregular period, and 68% of them are having heavy bleeding during their period just because of that. And not to mention, because there is also hygiene issues, because they don't have the access of safe drinking water for just only the purpose of drinking. So for cleaning and other purposes and sanitation issues, they cannot have it. So the period cramps is also a reality there. So 67% of those teenage girls have reported that they do have those extreme period cramps in comparison to the other areas where this salinity is not a serious issue. And we have also found, just because they are facing this sort of problems because of this drinking water issues, 25% of those girls end up taking like pills to stop their period, which is also having some serious issues for the reproductive systems. And the media has also highlighted these stories time after time. So a research from London University shows that around like 92% of the women have accepted that the health and the skin problems that they are facing due to the consumption of saline water has been an obstacle to the marriage. And because of the air and the consumption of drinking water, the young girls usually gets a darkened skin. And because of getting darkened skin, there is, I think, a notion that if your girl is darker, you cannot marry her off. So as there is lack of education and awareness, so those parents end up getting their girl child married at a very young age. So a report from Prothomalo, that is one of our leading dailies of Bangladesh, have reported that one of the prominent cause of child marriage is actually the consumption of saline water in that region, because it originates from the insecurity of the parents, and they actually end up getting their child married in a very early age. And not to talk about kind of the stories of the pregnant women and the sufferings of them. One of the stories that are highlighted in our media by our prominent dailies, the story of Sapriya Rai. She's 23 years old, and she actually said how tough it was her first pregnancy when her first baby was born premature. And her doctor said it only happened because of the high blood pressure and protein in the urine that solely happened because of like the constant consumption of saline water. So these stories are reality. And let's not talk about the problem. We have talked more about the problems, not talk about the solutions. So when we started to looking after like what are the solutions that people have thought in this region, so we found out like throughout these years, there has not been much work done in this region that has been sustainable and has changed the life of these people for a longer period of time. We have mostly seen people try to capture the rainwater in the rainy season that they try to use for a certain amount of time for a year. But when there is like scarcity of that rainwater, they end up drinking the saline water. So the government and the big companies sometimes try to had some big desalination plants in some of those areas, but as those are like very high energy intensive, and it's very tough to transport that water to those specific areas. So this sort of desalination plants are very less, and people need to walk a long way. And the teenage girl, Janab, so she and her friends need to walk a long way to collect that water. So it actually doesn't solve the problem that exists in those areas. So what we need a solution where the solution will be decentralized so that people don't need to walk miles after miles and staying in long lines to collect that water. And at the same time, it needs to be eco-friendly and sustainable to the environment because that zone is a very sensitive to the climate change. So if there is some solution that is not eco-friendly, that's gonna add up the problem in the future more. And we need some solution that's equally accessible and affordable to people. Because when we did the market study, we understood the education and the economic parameters and the earnings of those families is not that much. So we need to design a solution that will be affordable and easily accessible to people. So I will probably give you a little bit of insight when we understood the severity of the problem. So me, along with my three friends, actually started to look after the solutions, what we can do, and we started brainstorming. And with a simple idea, we own two major competitions, I would say. One was Halt Prize, and another one was UNDP and Unilever Safe Water Challenge when we were undergrad students. So we just throw an idea, wanted to brainstorm, and was looking for some solution. But when we actually went to the field and started working, we understood like this idea can be life-changing for people. So right now, before telling you what we do and how we do in Tetra, what's the status right now of our company? So we introduce us as a youth-based water tech startup who operates in the model of social enterprise. And our motto and mission is to make the impact first approach. We believe in that, and we want to ensure the safe access of safe drinking water for all the people, regardless of their economic income and their gender and other socioeconomic parameters. So that's what our vision is. So all the people in our company are kind of youth. None of them, I guess, have crossed 30 yet. So we believe like these young people who actually live with the problem have understood the severity of the problem, can make that differences with like understanding the emotions that is associated with that problem, and also like getting those technical innovations at this area and solve this problem holistically and in a sustainable manner. So right now we have a lot of, products and other services there. So what we have done, we have actually created a decentralized plant. So these are kind of small plants for like some households or some cluster of families. So what we do, we kind of try to take those water, that saline water from either groundwater aquifers or like surface water aquifers, and we try to incorporate them into a treatment system. And this treatment systems is kind of customized based on the water quality and the need of those families. And at the end, there is an water ATM from where these people can easily take those drinking water at 24/7 without taking any line from a simple touch of that card. So I can probably show you a demo like how our user collect those waters. So as you can see, she is one of our users of our water ATM. It's just as simple as just touching that card into that water ATM and collect those water. Earlier, she used to walk and walk a long way to collect that water. Right now, it's just beside her household. So that travel time has been got very easy for her. It's quite accessible for her. And also the charge of water, that's one of the most important parameters, the affordability has been decreased in a very severe way. Earlier, due to the transportation costs, she used to pay like 1 to 2 Bangladeshi takas for per liter of water. Right now, she is paying 0.5 Bangladeshi takas for per liter of water, which is around half or one-fourth for her water cost. So her water cost has been decreased. The water has been affordable for her, and also the other problems that she used to face for collecting the water has been decreased. And we have also incorporated a very interesting model in our business model because we are a social enterprise and we believe that impact first approach. We have incorporated the generation or the creation of female micro entrepreneurs in our business model. So what we do in these small plants that you just see, so all these plants are managed and co-owned by female micro entrepreneur that belongs to that particular community. And she gets like a commission and a percentage of profit from each liter of the sales of water that is done daily. So what we are doing earlier, these women didn't have like mostly the source of economic income, but right now we are giving them that opportunity, not like an employment opportunity, but a real ownership that offers themselves a sense of, co-ownership and empowers them, and also giving them that flexibility in terms of adding some economic benefits in their daily income. So incorporating that female micro entrepreneurs, we believe we are giving them the voice to be said and to be, just share their stories in front of the world and how they're changing their lucks all with their, contribution. And I would like to share some of those feedbacks that we usually get from our users. So the first one is Deepa Kaviraj. Basically, after establishment of this decentralized Tetra plant, she is actually selling teas in a tea stall in her village. So she actually said when our team went for an interview that from the earnings that right now she is having from the water plant, because she can sell a lot of teas and other stuffs. With that extra economic income, she can right now buy necessary groceries for her household. And that's kind of the impact she sees in her life, that not only have easen her life by getting the safe drinking water access in her doorstep, but also added economic income in her life. And the second one is Sheonty. So she said previously we had to go to get up early in the morning and wait in the long lines to collect water. Right now, we can access water anytime near our home. So that was kind of the feedback for her, that she had more time flexibility right now. And she shared one of our great insight, earlier she could not help her kids to study. Right now, the time that she gets extra, she can actually help her kids to study and play with them. So that's kind of the impact that she sees in her life through these changes. And for this project, we have been recognized by international community, and we have got like the Project Innovation Award and also the Young Leadership Award from International Water Association in the last 2024 Congress in Toronto. And we are proudly saying that we could create that impact in people's life in many aspects. So the first one is, of course, giving them the safe drinking water access, but it does not, limit the impact at only giving the safe drinking water access. But we have touched a lot of other parameters in their life. Their health has been continuously getting improved, and also the women who had the stories, long stories of sufferings year after year, who are feeling right now empowered in terms of economic, earnings, and also spending more time with their kids, also getting the drinking water in their doorstep. And seeing those stories actually makes us feel a lot of fulfilled. that the stories that we have heard like 6, 7, 8 years ago, the suffering stories that are gradually changing in the stories of happiness and fulfillment. And with that, we are very happy that we are continuously trying to make those sad stories towards and story that is the story of smile, happiness, and fulfillment for this 43 million people in the coastal zone of Bangladesh. So that was all about the storytelling of my presentation. Thank you, everyone, for your kind patience and attention. So I would love to answer any of the questions that you have in your mind. Thank you.